just called President Obama to congratulate him on his victory. His supporters and his campaign also deserve congratulations. I wish all of them well, but particularly the President, the First Lady, and their daughters. This is a time of great challenges for America, and I pray that the President will be successful in guiding our nation. I want to thank Paul Ryan for all that he has done for our campaign. And for our country. Besides my wife, Ann, Paul is the best choice I've ever made. And I trust that his intellect and his hard work and his commitment to principle will continue to contribute to the good of our nation. Thanks for all the hours of work, for the calls, for the speeches and appearances, for the resources and for the prayers. You gave deeply from yourselves and performed magnificently. And you inspired us and you humbled us. You've been the very best we could have imagined. The nation, as you know, is at a critical point. At a time like this, we can't risk partisan bickering and political posturing. Our leaders have to reach across the aisle to do the people's work. And we citizens also have to rise to the occasion. We look to our teachers and professors. We count on you not just to teach, but to inspire our children with a passion for learning and discovery. We look to our pastors and priests and rabbis and counselors of all kinds to testify of the enduring principles upon which our society is built: honesty, charity, integrity, and family. We look to our parents. For in the final analysis, everything depends on the success of our homes. We look to job creators of all kinds. We're counting on you to invest, to hire, to step forward. And we look to Democrats and Republicans in government at all levels to put the people before the politics. I believe in America. I believe in the people of America.
Romney's concession speech there. Well, hello and thanks for joining us again on today's program, Let's Talk on Loveworld Plus. My name is Zoe Okafor. Now, many people around the world, I'm sure, did not sleep at all as they watched and followed the U.S. presidential elections, which saw Barack Obama winning and his challenger, Mitt Romney, conceding defeat, as we just did see. Now, the U.S. elections were probably one of the most fiercely contested elections ever and put the spotlight again on America and its forefront role on the world scene. Now, that is why today's topic says America on the forefront of a new global agenda. And to discuss this with me, I have Kelechi Deka Anyao, who is the Managing Director of the African Economy. He's an international relations expert as well as a public policy analyst. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Okay, now, what is all over everywhere, of course, is the U.S. presidential elections, which did see the incumbent, Barack Obama, win. Now, first of all, what were your impressions? You told me you were up as well watching the elections. Yeah. So what was your impression of the entire process? Did you think he was going to win? I'm talking about President Obama.
Yeah, I had the feeling that he will win the election. But I didn't expect this wide margin, in spite of the, from the Electoral College perspective, which is where the president, who becomes the president, is decided, not mainly from the popular vote. Yeah. I didn't expect that wide margin, or what people are saying, 49–50%. People is not really, the Electoral College vote is so wide. But I knew, as yesterday, when they were doing a kind of analysis, they were trying to, this is one election where the new media, the social media, played a very great role. And as yesterday, when Twitter released their global map, where information about this election was, passing through, we are tweets, we are going around, and I was somehow proud. I saw Nigeria. There were two blinking spots on Africa, Nigeria and South Africa, and it shows that also we are catching up. But this is an awesomely fought election. About $4 billion went into
campaigning.
That's the most expensive election in the history of human existence. So, for me, it also highlights some of the peculiarities of the American system. A situation whereby you might find yourself up to 52% of the people not wanting you, and you still be there. So it shows some of those peculiarities, which is an American exceptionalism, if I may call it that.
Okay, but now he has won, he has addressed the people as well and all of that. Now, what do you see to be immediate challenges facing President Obama? Because remember, even while the campaigns were going on, we had the incident where the U.S. ambassador to Libya was killed in Benghazi, and that became an issue. People were using that against him. There were some other things, their role in, or their lack of it in the Arab Spring, Syria especially. A lot of things there that were on the ground, the economy, especially the American economy. So what are some of the challenges that you see him facing now that he's going back to the White House?
It's not really going to be easy for him. The challenges are enormous, and he did acknowledge it in his speech. The part of the problem that the American government is facing right now is a situation whereby what they can do might not be enough to make the kind of impact they expect. The world is getting closer and closer interlinked. A leadership change is about taking place in China right now.
Yes.
Most people are not aware of it. There's a leadership change in China. And you have to also take that into consideration. Who is that man? What are his views? And put it in perspective, in the perspective of the general, how do America see China, and how do China see America? These are the two biggest economies in the world, and are going to play a very important role in where the world is going to be tomorrow. But coming to the challenges before Barack Obama's government, he did mention it. This is also, if I may add here, this is also one of the most divisive elections America has ever had in a very long time. Yeah. We saw a lot of Americans going back to their shelf, whereby a lot of them going back to their shelf. When you look at the analysis of the votes, you see more whites voting for Romney, and the coalition of blacks, Latinos, Asians, and rooting for Obama. And before then, there's been a lot of comments that most Americans felt so balked at, whereby a lot of people, some people were saying that now this is the time to put a white man in the White House. So many of them tried to hush it, but human nature, race played a very important role. And Obama's task now is to try to bring back the coalition, try to blur the sharp edges of race and class, try to blur it. That's why if you watch him, he was trying to mention America, American family, American family, because he was making a lot of effort to try to play down on some of those issues that came up. Okay. And another one is bipartisanship. For a very long time, Americans have not had a bipartisan approach to their development challenges. Now is the time. And from the look of things, although Mitt Romney did call on the Republicans to try and work together, because he himself would also have faced the same thing.
Yes.
Anybody would have faced the same thing, you know, because, you know, it's a kind of, you know, what you're planning for me, I'm going to do it for you, and that kind of thing. So bipartisanship is a very great challenge. And another one, unemployment rate. This is one election in American history where the unemployment rate is so high and the incumbent was returned. So now Obama has a great role. Unemployment, which is creating jobs, moving America forward, and most especially taking the global leadership role everybody expects America to play.
Okay, the program is still Let's Talk if you're joining us, and we're looking at America on the forefront of a new global agenda. I'm still talking with Kelechi Deka Anyanwu, Managing Director of the African Economy and International Relations Expert, as well as a public policy analyst. Okay, so let's return to America's role in the world and, you know, her ability to maintain order in the international arena. You talked about America and China, you know, this sort of Cold War going on between them. During the campaign, of course, Mitt Romney was accusing China of being a currency manipulator and all of that. Now, how do you see, before now, how well have we seen America really take charge when it comes to not just between her and China, but also in these other areas like foreign policy, like the Syria issue, you know, the United Nations, and it's like they didn't really want to get involved in the Syrian war and all of that. How do you see America and its role, the role she has been playing in trying to maintain order on the international front?
Yeah, basically, America tried so hard not to go beyond what they were doing, because as it is, they are already stretched. That was why you saw what happened in Libya. They didn't want to go in because they were already stretched in Afghanistan. They were already stretched. You know, if you look at at America's vast strategic military hotspots all across the world, you will know what price they're paying to be a world power, to be a superpower, a single superpower in what we now see as a uniglobal world order, which is, from the look of things now, is going back to a multipolar global world order. Now America is in a transition. This is a transition, you know, they moved from a dipolar world order when United States and the Soviet Union were there, to a unipolar at the end of when the Soviet Union had a problem. It became only America. It was a role they were learning how to play. How do we become the strongest nation in the world? While they were at it on the job, trying to get used to it, now we start having the mushrooming of regional powers, not just regional powers. You have regional powers that has the capabilities to disrupt even their region. Not only their region, but they have the capabilities to even cause enormous havoc on other regions. So America now starts to change its foreign policy. But what a lot of people don't really understand, or what a lot of, especially people from the Republican flank, the world has changed. A lot of them are still living in the Cold War era. The world has changed. The leveraging of technology didn't just impact on electronics and mobile phones. It also impacted on the ability of countries to produce weapons of mass destruction. So the issue now is that you have what I have. There are few countries that still can hurt America militarily, in spite of the fact that America is the strongest nation, military-wise, on earth today. But there are still countries are building up. China is spending so much money in its military acquisition, hardware upgrading, that you have to know that America has to make a shift.
Okay, so America is trying to consolidate with what you've said, some new regional powers springing up here and there. We want to very quickly take a look at Mr. President's, that's President Barack Obama's acceptance speech before we continue. Let's take a look.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Tonight, more than 200 years after a former colony won the right to determine its own destiny, the task of perfecting our union moves forward. It moves forward because of you. It moves forward because you reaffirmed the spirit that has triumphed over war and depression, the spirit that has lifted this country from the depths of despair to the great heights of hope, the belief that while each of us will pursue our own individual dreams, we are an American family and we rise or fall together as one nation and as one people. Tonight, in this election, you, the American people, reminded us that while our road has been hard, while our journey has been long, we have picked ourselves up. We have fought our way back. And we know in our hearts that for the United States of America, the best is yet to come. I want to thank every American who participated in this election. Whether you voted for the very first time or waited in line for a very long time. By the way, we have to fix that. Whether you pounded the pavement or picked up the phone.
Than his acceptance speech, and you can't deny, apart from every other thing that he has had to go through and the fight, you can't deny the certain rock star appeal that he has that got him to the White House in the first place. So we're still looking at America and on the forefront of a new global agenda. Is America losing its influence on the world? These are some of the things we are still looking at, and I'm still talking with Kelechi Deka Anyanwu. Now, still talking about America's influence. Now, we did see them trying to do things or trying to help out in Afghanistan, in Iraq, you know, in some of these places. Did they really succeed? In these places they were sent, you know, they sent troops there to help out in the war and all of that. Did they succeed? And if they didn't, do you think that because of what happened there that America's influence is beginning to wane in terms of how the world sees them, in terms of how Americans themselves see the president and all of that? What are your views on that?
Yeah, success here is quite relative in the sense that you might go to war, you know, win the battle and lose the war.
Okay.
So what happened in Iraq, you know, if you want to ask, did they succeed? Then you ask yourself, is Iraq better today? Is the region better today? Part of what you're seeing in that region right now you know, there's a lot of balancing of power that is going on in that region presently. That's back to what happened in Iraq. Now, I make bold to say that people like Ahmadinejad, that Iran wouldn't be playing the role it's playing now as a spoil sport in the region if Saddam Hussein was alive.
Okay.
Removing Saddam Hussein gave opportunity for other regions, other you know, leaders there to start causing a lot of problems, because Saddam Hussein was the man who was backing at everybody to stay where they're supposed to stay. So like what other American policy then, American policy used to be work with the strong men to keep the little men in check. But now when you remove the strong men, nobody's keeping the little men in check. That's why a lot of people like Osama bin Laden start, you know, recruiting and running head-to-skate all over the whole place. So that's where, when you talk about the relativity, and even Afghanistan is not free right now.
Okay.
Even with the democracy and everything, it's not free.
Okay, well, in conclusion, I want us to look at Africa in the sphere of things. Now that Obama has clinched the second term, how do you look at, is this something that Africa has to look forward to with this, will I call it a new dispensation? Maybe we don't know yet what he's going to do or what he's going to be able to do in this administration. But is there anything that Africa has to look forward to with what has taken place?
I think my impression is that Obama was somehow cautious. It's either he is cautious about going all out to help Africa, or it is not part of his agenda. The best help Africa has received from the American government in the last 30 years came from George W. Bush.
Okay.
Through the Millennium Challenge account and the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. Apart from that, Africa has not received the kind of help it's supposed to get from America.
Okay.
Before now, Americans didn't see Africa as of strategic importance. They were just seeing Africa as, you know, one backyard out there that we don't need to worry about. That was also the same attitude, although Europeans have been here for a long time. But after some time, Europeans start withdrawing about their engagement with Africa until China came and started going even into the backyards of people all over Africa. Then that was when America and Europe woke up that these people are rising up so fast, and they could control what is happening in Africa. And China has so much control in Africa now. That was why America started moving backward. And secondly, America started moving backward, coming back to Africa because of the issue of security. If you notice, as it is now, Africa is one of the most fertile breeding grounds of terrorism, Islamism, and all the stuff like that. So America has also found out that, you know, a breeding ground of terrorism can be anywhere in the world, but the target of that terrorist can also be anywhere in the world. So it is in their strategic interest that anywhere there is a breeding ground of terrorism, you should go and crush it, because by the time they are hatched, they can attack anywhere. So that's from that angle. Then secondly, on the issue of economics, you know, America should be able to help Africa to open up markets for African products, because these are also part of the things that are causing all this insecurity all over the world.
Okay, well, America has a whole lot to do, and U.S. President Barack Obama has a lot of work to do as well, to also make sure that the American people who voted for him, will be justified in the end. We have been looking at America on the forefront of a new global agenda, and I have been talking with Kelechi Deka. He's the Managing Director of the African Economy and International Relations expert, as well as a public policy analyst. Thank you so much for coming and shedding some light on this. Well, what more can I say but congratulations, and wishing you the best, and hope all the support that you will need.